Hello, welcome, greetings, good citizens of the cannabis community. And just in case no one has said it to you yet, that would be really sad. Happy New Year from the entire team here at Infused Media. Mike, Francesca, Happy New Year to you both. And if you don't mind, can I throw this your way? How long into the calendar year do you think you can get away with saying Happy New Year to somebody? Because I like to roll all the way into the Ides of March, baby. I like to get all the way into March.
Yeah, I'm done with it basically on January 1st.
It's already tired.
It's the shelf life is real short for me.
Wired to tired that quickly.
I can hang with a Happy New Year until January, end of January. And then
wow.
If you see, but you know, not to like everybody you see, if you haven't seen somebody for the first time until then, you're like, oh, Happy New Year. Like, I'm going to give you that one still.
It would be odd if you said it every time you saw somebody, regardless of how many times.
Yeah. I know what my new resolution is.
I'm going to be doing that out in Biloxi when we go to that show. Just Happy New Year. Like, well, I didn't see you, Anyway, well, look, it seems in a way like we're still home for the holidays. And allow me to explain, if you will. I want to clarify. If you followed the show for any length of time, we're so grateful for you. You may have heard us say something like this, that one of the best parts about doing this show and talking to so many interesting people in the cannabis space is that we have really genuinely ended up making some damn good friends in this industry. And that's why today's kind of special, because we get to reverse that just a little bit. Because where Francesca and I are concerned, today we get to interview a damn good friend who we know before the business, and our colleague Mike is meeting for the first time. This is so fun because this is a guy who said goodbye to our little area here in Delaware, and went out to carve himself a place in the budding, pun intended, cannabis industry. And look, we are so tremendously proud of what he's done, what he continues to do, and it's an honor to welcome him to our show. This is a guy whose work ethic is absolutely second to none, and his passion for the plant and commitment to quality simply exceptional. He was growing on his own, and now he's part of a major cultivation team for a multi-state operation. Please welcome to the show my friend and probably the only Pittsburgh Penguins fan I love like an absolute brother, Mike Magee. Welcome, brother.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Nick. It's great to meet you guys. Great to be on this. Great to meet Mike, I should say, Frank, and the rest of your Infused team. Francesca, Nick, it's so great to see you guys. I've been really looking forward to this for a long time now.
Oh, man, us too.
We have too. We've been talking about you a lot, hyping you up, so can't wait.
Yeah, the bar is high, Mike. The bar is real high.
I don't like the high expectations. I'll see what I can do to fill those shoes.
Well, yeah, no pressure, brother. I always say this too, that Mike filled that role for me personally. I think is really important. Like someone like in my early, I was like, oh, I'm just coming back to cannabis. It's better to deal with this condition. And I'm a convert now. Mike was there to kind of guide me into it and serve that role that is so important of mentor. And so I was like, Mike was really my Obi-Wan Kenobi as I'm walking into the cannabis space. Hopefully I wasn't as big of a disappointment as a learner as, some of the fallen Jedi. But Mike, I wanted to talk to you, brother. We've been talking since, God, I think I ran into you in July when you were visiting our little burg here in Delaware. And I said, I got to get you on Infused. And you said, yeah, let's make it happen. Trading calendar dates. So here we are, first of the year in 2023. And I finally get to have you on. So Mike, if you could tell our audience, it's something that we ask a lot of our guests. How did you first get into cannabis, Mike? What was your first experience growing up? West Virginia, cannabis a thing? Was it taboo? What was the environment like?
Yeah, I grew up in rural West Virginia. Smoking marijuana, drugs were very taboo. It was actually in the thick of the opioid crisis and epidemic, and it unfortunately lost a lot of good friends to that. And it's a shame that they couldn't have been on this medicine instead of what was pushed down their throats. But even so, unfortunately, we were in that time in that area where it was frowned upon. I was definitely known. I was definitely known as the partier in my circle of friends. But Yeah, so I always kind of hid that. Never got in trouble or anything, but yeah, just flew under the radar and used it. And once I moved to Delaware, where I met you guys and some wonderful people, that's where we found it to be much more open and a better understanding for the plant and the medicine. Um, and in that, I got to meet some wonderful people, do some research, and really the market in West Virginia was um, very dark, very limited on what you could get. You never knew what you were getting. A lot of
Yeah.
stems and seeds, and oh yeah, this is this, but is it really that? And it was a real
Just like
shame.
north of, a bag of oregano. Like
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's interesting, Mike, that you said that, coming from West Virginia into Delaware, that the conversation was a little bit more open.
I was shocked
when it comes to cannabis.
It actually wasn't too long after I moved there that they decriminalized up to an ounce of marijuana, and so like for me that was huge.
Yeah.
And then again, just meeting people from different areas and a little bit more of an open market, you could meet and talk to more people that were into the plant, and yeah, it was a good access point for me to meet people.
And people just weren't as secretive about it. They weren't like, oh, not cool. But
Exactly.
Yeah.
There was a
Yeah.
few people that were kind of hidden, but for the most part, it was much more open than what I was used to. And then when I went to California, everything went out of the bag at that point.
Well, we're talking about that. Look, for somebody who's tread a path here in this young industry that we call cannabis, it wasn't like you could, you had a college counselor that was like, oh, here's your interests, Mike, and they have to pertain to these different facets of the business, whether it be dispensary work, cultivation, manufacturing, any of that stuff. This is really like a DIY kind of education you had to provide yourself, right?
Absolutely. And looking back, I never thought about it up until I started to get into this industry. But anytime I had a book report or anything like that in some of the school, I always did it on medical marijuana, why it should be legal, why we could use that instead of opiates. And it was just because I did it one time, thought it was easy, and kind of ran with it. But but it worked really well for me. And then, as I got older, it's like, okay, so subconsciously that was, I think, always in the back of my mind. And then once I could, you do research on the internet on the different things, all its profits, and like learning more about the essential oils and terpenes. This was way back in the day. So when I was working at the bar, I was deciding to get into cannabis. I started doing my education from the Trichome Institute and THC University, just some online certifications. They don't hold a great amount of weight, but it was still a good way for me to get educated and understand a little bit more of what I was going into.
Yep. Foundational knowledge.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I should say to my colleague here, Mike Patterson, Mike, when Mike Magee was doing this, and he just kind of skirted over his work at the bar. Mike was the damn best bartender in the city. So let's clear that right now. We miss him every day in Wilmington. We had a little funeral parade when he left. I mean, he was that damn good. It was
what bar, Mike?
Catherine Rooney's Irish Pub. A great local neighborhood bar, and a lot of great friends there. The wonderful owners just retired and passed it to their son. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there for the retirement party, but shout out to the McCoys and all the wonderful people in Wilmington, Delaware that really carved a big part of my life for the 3-4 years I was there, I believe. And even going back to being taboo, I remember when I was leaving there, telling them I was leaving. I didn't say I was going to grow weed in California.
That's right. I forgot it was like this big secret.
Yeah, we didn't know.
It wasn't accepted. I had a great job as a manager. It was bartending. I only worked 4 days a week, and it was really hard to move and to make that jump. But I couldn't be more happier that I decided to do it.
Didn't you tell everybody you were going to get into like pet stuff, a vet tech?
So, and I actually did look into becoming a vet tech, and I looked at a few schools and things like that, and the end of year salary for vet techs were very low compared to. I decided that I wanted to either go into plants or animals. I was done dealing with people, and looked into vet tech. They didn't make much money, so I went with the green side.
There you go.
It was really confusing. There were a number of different stories out there. Like, what's he really doing? Is it pets? Is it this? I noticed Bin Laden's gone.
Witness
Was Mike
protection
McGee
is what it
involved
sounds
there?
like to me.
Bin Laden's
Yeah,
gone.
there are lots of stories. We thought he was a member of SEAL Team 6. But here, unbeknownst to us, our buddy was studying, learning so much about this plant, and that took you, you packed up and you moved across country. Mike, when we're talking about leaps of faith, that's a hell of a one, buddy.
Yeah, so in doing my research and everything, I saw, like a lot of people, the different articles like Charlotte's Web, some of these cases where you'd see children with seizures, and the little bit of tincture would stop, hundreds of seizures in a day. And
Yeah.
it was things like that that really reached out to me. So, I want to make a difference like that. And through a friend of a friend that I met in the bar, they had started a startup company in California. They've been out there for about 10 years, decided to bought some land and started their own farm and needed some help. And said if I was willing to move out there, they had some room for me. So myself, my girlfriend, and my dog Jester got in a car and moved from Delaware to Trinity County, California.
Wow.
That's incredible. What an adventure.
It was great. You really know if you're going to be with somebody after spending 4 days in a car, 5 days in a car with them, driving over and over again. We also had a cat with us as well, so it was
nice.
It was quite an adventure, and so yeah, I had no idea what I was getting into. I didn't know if I would literally anything. Some of the things at that point that you would see online or read about was trimmigants going missing, things like that. So trimmigants were the trimmers that just kind of get picked up on the side of the road that want to make money up in the mountains. And you never know what you're going into. And to be honest, I really didn't know the person that I was going to work for.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess friend of a friend is as close to as
we had met once
before.
Yeah, we had met once before and just kind of hit it off, just open conversation. And then he left, and the more I started doing research and really diving into the growing side, I was like, man, this is really what I want to do. So when we got out there, there was 7 of us the first year, and the manager of the farm at that time was living in Santa Rosa, 3 hours south of us there. And so he was kind of bouncing back and forth in the weekends. I'm not sure. It was kind of a weird relationship they had there. But that, and I was fortunate enough where I had spotted botrytis and some spider mites randomly on a couple plants and mentioned it, caught it early. They were impressed by that. And then just as the year went on and looking to the future, I spent more time with the plants and in the garden and kind of taking care of things, setting up greenhouses, doing what I could than I did actually trimming the weeds. So it just worked out perfect that I got that position.
So did you learn like the spider mites and what was the other thing that you found?
Botrytis, so bud mold, gray mold. Just if you ever see those pictures of the yellow and gray mold inside, with it's almost like a spider web, cotton candy looking. That's what that is. So common in greenhouses, outdoor grows, get late in the season, lots of rain, moisture will cause that. Unfortunately, when you grow big size colas, they're more prone to water and those types of issues.
Yeah. And did you learn to identify that from the courses that you took, or did you learn it in the field as you were
so those specifically, I had seen those on books and online. And I did as much as I could. Jorge Cervantes, Ed Rosenthal, Greg Green, DJ Short. There's a lot of authors that I just try to pick up and read as much as I could about it. And reading it and then actually being out there and seeing it were two kind of different things. Because at times they are hard to spot and try to figure out what is what. So fortunately, I just asked a lot of questions. The people I were working for, I was very fortunate. They shared a lot of knowledge with me. We're kind of an open book. And with such a small crew, that was kind of really the only option. They were either they had to let somebody else take care of it because they were going back and forth, trying to set our ways, trying to get our product out. And so it was tough. And they were, like I said, very willing to share information with me. And the combination of the education side of it and doing it hands-on and seeing what's out there was what really helped me.
And was this a legal grow or was it an illicit grow?
So the first time going out there, we were legal, and this was a little bit back in the day where it was you go to a doctor, you get a recommendation for you could grow up to 99 plants. And so if we had 4 people on that property that could grow 99 plants, and we all put our posts up, now we can grow 396 plants. And so there were ways like that to kind of get around certain things. So in the beginning of my total time there, I worked for 4 different farms. The one that I went for the beginning, the startup, I was there the whole time, and then I would kind of subcontract out to other farms as long as I could keep things balanced. 2 of the farms were legal, so they first started off with that with number of plants. We grew up to 400, 500 plants, and then we went through the legal route as well through California and through the state process. Those went to 15,000 square foot canopy gardens, gardens and greenhouses that way. And the other properties were the black market, the illicit market there, and they kind of went by their own rules, had some different setups, and they were great. Again, very educational. So the one farmer had been there for 10 years, 2 of them had been there for 20 and 25 years, and the other gentleman had been there his whole life. His family had homesteaded up in that area since the early 1900s.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how well he could read and write, but the guy had been up there timber, hunting, and growing fruits, vegetables.
Whole life.
Yeah. And just, I would say, oh, Mike, nice to meet you. I came to work over here for you. So, okay, I need you to do this. And it wasn't until a few times after we had worked together that he was like, okay, my name is, actually introduced himself and I obviously knew his name, but he never said that until we were there. But he was very old school and just, again, an open book. And everyone that I had met was very willing to share information to people that were passionate and enthusiastic and willing to learn, not just somebody coming out there to get rich and make money and, the bad stories you hear about.
Yeah.
Exploiting that side of the market.
Mike, what was it like when you first got out to the Emerald Triangle? You're a young kid, girlfriend, dog, cat, come rolling up in a car into the Emerald Triangle from Delaware. What's that like? Your first night, your first couple of days, how long did it take to get acclimated? What was that like?
It was a big shock. I didn't really know. So we get out there and we meet my friend and his girlfriend that had been out there, and that it was their property, and said, okay, we're heading up the mountain now because there's no way to get up there. There's no cell phone service. Our power was by generator, and solar power is kind of the only way you have power up there. We were startups. We didn't have money for solar. So it was literally powered by generator. If you wanted to use your cell phone, you could use Wi-Fi, but you didn't have Wi-Fi calling at that time. So you'd literally have to drive 15 minutes, 30 minutes to use your cell phone. The first year I was there, the first 6 months, we lived in a tent together. So that was a fun little situation there. But yeah, there was 6 of us on the property there, lived in a tent, bounced back and forth. Like I said, you go down to the local towns were Eureka and Ukiah, north and south, about 3 hours. So you go to Walmart. Santa Rosa had the Costco. That's where we got all our make the big splurge then and get all your supplies. But yeah, powered by generator, water by well, pumps, everything like that. Yeah, I had camped before and done things like that, but to this extent, it was definitely eye-opening. And yeah, it was a big adjustment at first. And as I say, cooking by fire, by campsite, we had access to a kitchen and a few things, but basically it was one small house, and I'll use the term house very loosely, for 3 people lived there, and then 4 of us lived in tents for the first 6 months inside of a carport.
Did you know you're going to be camping for 6 months when you went out there?
We had a good idea, but it wasn't. Yeah, we didn't know to the extent of what was going on. Yeah, going to sleep in sleeping bags, fully clothed. Yeah, and I mean, it was waking up as the sun came up, going to bed shortly after the sun went down, because there's really nothing else to do out there except spend time with each other and grow the plant. Again, it's great to read and to learn a lot and ask questions, but Yeah, there was definitely some difficult times being up there, being limited, trying to communicate with people. I mean, I remember I went the first year I was there, at one point I went 2 months without going back into town or seeing anybody more than the 6, 7, 8 people I dealt with. And the first time I went to Costco, I was started to get nervous, started to get a panic attack because I wasn't used to seeing, hundreds of people again.
Wow.
Wow. That's crazy. What an extreme environment and an extreme change to put yourself through. And in an extreme like climate and circumstances, because I mean, I think everybody knows the nickname of Murder Mountain. So I didn't know if you had any,
Yeah.
stories on that side of the
So
mountain.
I actually have never seen the documentary of Murder Mountain, which I really need to. But from my understanding, and I know the story that it's based on and everything. So we actually lived on that mountain, but we were on this side of the mountain as opposed to Alder Point, where we would go there for groceries. So there were two gas stations up there, which would charge $1 more for gas than everywhere else that was down um, in the
Off the
city and
mountain.
everything, because they were the only
Mhm.
place up there. I remember like a pack of ramen noodles would be $1.25 as opposed to the 25 cents that you get
Yeah.
at the stores, because yeah, that was, if you wanted it that bad, you were going to pay for it.
Sure.
Least.
The only thing that was priced correctly was beer. They would charge about the normal amount for beer, which okay, we can work with that.
Cut you a break.
Yeah, because
The essentials are covered.
there were times, because it was honestly a tight knit community. You hear things like that, but at no point was I necessarily scared. Like, you never want to make a wrong turn and end up on somebody else's property,
Mhm.
because you just never know the people up there. You meet some interesting characters, and like I said, they're very shy, but once you can kind of get in there and start working with people, and once they meet you and understand what you're about, they're pretty good. But they are a very scarce community. And we heard the stories about the people going missing, and I met one farm that allegedly was in that group that showed up at the guy's house, following the things. And you hear stories like that. Again, you don't see cops up there. That part, if you see cops up there, there's a bust going on or something dangerous.
Yeah.
The big the thing that would scare us would be the environmental protection agencies and stuff. They would go out for people diverging streams, doing things they weren't supposed to, putting a lot of phosphorus back in the ground, things like that would be bad for the environment. They were the ones that were getting most of the growers up there in our areas. And we were good about trying to do that, trying to take care of the place that you are. We were trying to get to the points of regenerative farming and trying to help other people out and take care of the land. But unfortunately, not everybody's as conservative or considerate as we were.
Did your girlfriend feel safe too? Did Britt feel like she was okay? I mean, was it a different experience for her as a female?
She felt safe up there and everything, and we were together for the most part. But there
Yeah.
were times, because she was a massage therapist as well, so she would
Mhm.
actually go to other farms that we knew and massage some of the workers there to make extra money. And there was one incident where you would go to a gated community, and then it would open up to 3 or 4 different farms. And she got to one gate and was waiting for one of the owners to come down, and another group came in, and I think they were Eastern European or some type of Asian, you know, not cartel, but gang type
Mhm.
of affiliates. And they were going back and forth. And she's actually lived in Hungary. So she started speaking Hungarian back to them. And they kind of like paused and were thrown off for a second. And then the owner came down, and then I worked it out, and everything like that. But that was the only time any, and again, not really threat, but of just what's going on here. You never wanted to break down. You would see cars on the side of the road all the time with bullet holes in them. And if you broke down overnight, if you're not with your vehicle, good luck to what it looked like the next morning. Because people come in, strip it, just shoot guns at it for playing around. It was.
Mike, you must hate when people use the term loosely, when they're like, "Well, it's like the Wild West out there." Brother, you were in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were definitely in it. And like I said, a lot of great memories, a lot of good times. I'll never forget my first year there. I was probably more not scared, but worried about wildlife, having the dogs and just everything that So
Yeah.
mountain lions were a big deal. So, you go to sleep and hear kind of mountain lion at night. There's black bears, rattlesnakes. I actually killed a rattlesnake. Brittany cooked it. We ate it. That was a fun little
Num.
time. But so one night, or when we first get there, we're talking, and the owner of the property was like, hey, if you hear somebody yelling, or it sounds like somebody yelling for help, a woman, don't go. It's a mountain lion in heat. They'll scream and yell, and it almost sounds like somebody yelling help or help me. I said, okay, good to know. And that's kind of it. So a couple months, month goes by, a few months go by, and he's gone. A few people are gone, and it's the manager was there at the time, and he's doing a lap, chicken coop. We had animals, everything else, making sure everything's good. And I think we were watching a movie inside or something. It was nice and quiet, and he comes running in. Guys, somebody's getting murdered up in the woods. We got to go help. And we get up, or we look, we're like, okay, what's going on? And he's like, God, somebody's getting murdered up in these woods right now. And he's like, we got to go save her. And I was like, you sure it's not a mountain lion? And he's like, man, I've been up here for 8 years. Like, I know I've never heard this before. Somebody's getting murdered. We have to help this woman. And so we hop in the truck, drive up on the road a little bit. The guys are kind of looking around. We get back to the property. And once you get in the gate, the main house was this way. The barn was down a road this way. And that's where we had our product. So we get out and we lock the gate. I said, I'm going to go down, check the barn just in case there's something going on, just to be safe. And of course, I walk out there, not at all thinking there's a mountain lion out there. And I'm walking out towards it by myself, no light. Check, everything's good, of course. Get back. And I just hear him on the phone like, huh, that's what a mountain sounds like, huh? Let me look it up, huh? And he pulls it up on YouTube. And sure enough, yeah, it's like, yeah, that's the sound I heard. Guess I've never heard it before. But yeah, we were walking right around looking for a mountain lion.
What an area. It's incredible that it's just as weird as it's portrayed in documentaries, TV, and that kind of thing. I'd be remiss if we didn't get your take on this, Mike, during this California segment we're doing here. Now, knowing what you know and being in a position that you're in back here out east, do you think you really benefited from learning the ins and outs of the black market and the rec market, like wearing both of those hats?
100%.
Yeah.
There, like I said, the one gentleman had been up there his whole life. One thing we had kind of focused on in the long run was trying to processing and distribution and harvest and going along that lines. And essentially, we would pull up to your harvest at the end of the time, hang it up, dry it for you, process it, trim it down, go and sell it at a dispensary. Was kind of one thing we did at a certain point. And working with some of those people, we had moisture meters. We were trying to do very specific this exact moisture to run it through to make sure everything looked where we needed it to be. And I was always curious of watching this gentleman that would just by touch grab and say, it's ready, it's not ready. And he wouldn't be the exact, obviously as accurate as a meter would be, but he was pretty close every time. And when you feel it and do it for that long, that over again, and there were other farmers that we would talk to about, and purple flowers, he had this beautiful purple strain, and I would throw out different types of things to kind of help with making colors pop out and tricks, and he would do all those things and have no idea how he did them scientifically. It was just what he's been doing for years and years and years. Right. And so yeah, it was really great to see hands-on how they do things. And I would say 70% of it, 80% of it was very beneficial. 25-30% of it was the pseudoscience, the bro science, the things that you hear about, that this is how it needs to be done. And then you talk to someone with PhD or masters in horticulture, and it's like, that's not true at all. That's not how plants work. And but being out there, it was fantastic, and being able to learn all those different things. And yeah, it really was a wealth of knowledge that, shout out that I don't think they get enough love, that the OGs, the people that have been doing this for way beyond the last 20-30 years, that, many of them are in jail or, fortunately have avoided jail, but they have so much to learn and pass on. And unfortunately, this industry has been kind of so closed doors and secretive because you had to be for your own protection. If you go out telling people what you're doing or trying to show pictures, that's how you got caught. And so it's we're starting to get there, but yeah, it's great to be more of an open door and to share people's ideas and to get their different perspectives and inputs, because that's how we can grow and become the best industry that we can be together. That's what we need.
That's a great
Yeah,
point. That's a great point. We see
definitely.
that in a lot of different angles in the industry too, Mike, in terms of, all different levels of participation, whether it's dispensary, the producers, ancillary, like all the segments have a lot they can do together to help make the industry better as a whole.
Absolutely. I've been very blessed on, being out in California and doing things organically from seed to sale, to go into a dispensary and trying to sell it, to working in a dispensary firsthand, working with patients. We'll get into some of those details later, to back in the grow side on more of a commercial and large scale process. And it's been great to get the different perspectives, and I can kind of say what I've seen and what I've done and witnessed firsthand, and pass that along. And again, it's all about working with teams together. And we're with who I'm with now, we're vertically integrated, multi-state operations, so we're able to kind of pass those ideas off each other and work. And it's been we have a really great team, and I feel very blessed, and I've been able to work with this amount of people now.
So, Mike, just for my knowledge, and it's the audience too. So, how long did you spend in California, and then what brought you back east?
So I was out there for 3 years in total.
Okay.
My third year out there was 2018, and that was when they started to kind of tighten up on the regulations, and things got a little bit more strict out there. And from the beginning, it was always processing and distribution was kind of where we were focused. I was able to focus on the garden and take care of all that. And when it got to a point where they kind of had to pick, and I knew what was coming up with that, and I had options to stay out there and do things, but I had some family issues going on, and that kind of brought me back east to Pennsylvania, to West Virginia, and that region. And it was tough at first. It was, I went back and forth of what should I do, but at the end of the day, I felt I can make things happen on the East Coast, and there should be plenty of opportunities the way it was growing. So I actually stopped in Colorado on the way and thought, well, this is a little bit closer, halfway. Maybe I could make this work. And you had to be a resident in Colorado, and that wasn't going to work. So all the way back to Pennsylvania, where I actually reached out to, I think, every grower in the state.
Wow.
I remember talking to Nick and Francesca about, what you guys were doing at the sales joint and everything you had going on. And it was tough. It was honestly really tough. And I didn't realize it then, as I know now. I've taught like the whole recruiting and hiring process, where I would apply for a place in, Pennsylvania, and the recruiters in, Arizona, Illinois, Missouri, wherever they may be located. And so trying to communicate that stuff. And I talked to people that they would apply, 10, 15 times just to get a call back in different places. And
Wow.
yeah, it was a struggle. I thought, oh, I'd have no problem getting a job coming back east. I've been in California,
Yeah,
and
you've
that,
been
and
with the OGs, you
it,
know
it was
them.
it was a struggle in the beginning. But yeah, fortunately, I was blessed to get on with the dispensary and get to work firsthand with patients. And Pennsylvania was really cool because they have a law set up where pharmacists have to work in the dispensary. And
Yeah.
so as a patient, I got to work very closely with them. And as you guys know, I ask questions as much as I can. And so anytime a patient would come in, we would get to sit down together, talk about things, go over different things. And whether it be children with different disabilities and problems, to people that just wanted to come in to what's the highest THC, I want to get as high as I can, to elderly patients that had never been in there before, had never smoked before, haven't smoked in 40 years, and they're trying to try it for the first time. I use the term smoke, but you can't actually smoke in Pennsylvania. It's
Right.
vaporize,
Yeah.
all those things.
Capsules and
Yeah,
tinctures and yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So is there is there I know that I don't know how to ask this question without just kind of telling you grew your own strain, right?
So yes, we grew strains that were specific to us that had never been grown by anybody else before. Yeah, we created a couple of our own strains.
What was that like? I mean, is there a reason that you went there beyond just curiosity and seeing if you could do it? Was there something you were looking for that didn't exist yet? Or was it just like, I want to do my own thing and I want to try it, or I want to give somebody these effects, and so I grew this specific thing?
To be honest, I wasn't real sure, and the strain we created was a happy accident. One of the people that lived with us actually had epilepsy as well, so we did grow CBD strains also. And that was one thing that was very important to me, was because I look at this plant, for the medicinal uses of it. It's not just about the THC. That does do a lot of great things besides, just getting people high and psychoactivity for pain relief. And there's a lot of other things, but the CBD, the CBG, different terpenes in the plant, there's so many medicinal benefits to all those that I wanted to find ways to focus on that. And so that specific time was a happy accident. We'd love to get that. That is a passion of mine, to get into genetics and specifically breeding and sitting down, doing lab analytics and figuring out what works best for what, patients. So it does work for everybody differently. And CBG is one thing. It works really well with patients with gastrointestinal issues, Crohn's disease. I believe it's great for um, to relieve pressure in your eye sockets.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Glaucoma. So for reliefs like that, CBG unfortunately turns into THC and CBD and CBC. So that's why you see such low numbers, because it almost immediately turns into the other molecules. So those are things that I'd like to look specifically at and grow for. Unfortunately, I've never had the ability to do that at this point, but we're still heading in the right direction to help people. So yeah, I hope that kind of answers your question. We did grow once, but it was more just for experimental and R&D research as opposed to specifics.
Right.
Yeah.
It did answer the question. And Mike, if you could be, Mike and I are sitting here in Delaware, just fascinated that Francesca had trouble asking a question. It's a first.
Happy New Year.
That's a first on the Infused show. So Mike, if you could quickly tell it, what are your day-to-day duties right now, as far as what you're doing in cultivation?
So yeah, now I'm back up in cultivation and grow facility. I work with a really great team, mainly hands-on with our IPM team, integrated pest management. I have my pesticide applicator license, so everything that comes along with that, fertigation, the irrigation side, environmental controls, just the basics of checking in, fertigation. I'm in all assets of our facility, helping out where I can, and just trying to be available to anywhere I can be. We do different types of things in there that, yeah, just anywhere I can help. From, like I say, we're vertically integrated. So from the only side of the part I'm not in is the lab at this point, which maybe down the road I'll get into, but I like the cultivation side enough.
Yeah. It seems like one feeds the other too. So the more specialist you are and really tightly understand what's happening in the greenhouse or in the grow facility or outdoor, or no matter where the garden is, that's going to lend itself to more knowledge once you get in the lab, because you understand the grow conditions and all the variables that go into creating a great product and product that has issues that you have to overcome.
100%. I always kind of say the point of, what are we looking for to what are we growing for? Is it flower that is looking to be vaporized? Is it looking to be extracted? So do we want more surface area to get more trichome heads, or everything like that? Is it more terpene specific? Are we doing a CBD 15-to-1 ratio? So let's make sure we can kind of keep those numbers a little closer every time. And so, I always like to say, kind of put some goals out and plan and know what you're growing for and towards, and makes things a lot easier when you're organized and have a game plan together.
Yeah. So can I ask this real quick, Francesca?
Yeah, go for it.
And this is to you and Nick. I haven't really heard too many people talk about starting with what the end product is going to be and grow to that. Normally I feel like our clients are always, they grow and then be like, okay, now what do I do? And they just see whoever will take it type scenario. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
I thought that was like, I was captivated by that description that Mike said around what's the end product you have in mind, and we'll grow to that.
100%. And I've talked to, people over the years. I say consulting, but I've talked to people, and again, that's always my question. What's the end goal here? What are you looking to do? And so many times with this market and CBD and hemp and everything else, it's, well, I want to make a lot of money and I have this space and I can grow this. Okay, what are you going to do with it at the end? where's your water coming from? What type of pest management situations do you have in play? And you start asking questions, and there's a lot more that can kind of play into it than people look at sometimes.
Yep. Very
But-
cool.
Yeah, there's only one way to get there. You have to learn, starting one step at a time and getting there. And, again, asking as many questions as you can in this industry. It's, a rising tide raises all ships. And that's kind of the attitude I think we need to have here. Nothing great can be achieved without being enthusiastic. So, they're English teachers there. I'm sure you guys know Emerson from that quote.
I'm a Ralph Waldo Emerson devotee, my friend.
Yeah,
but it's very nice.
Don't ask me. I only know that from the gym.
That was impressive.
It was,
and you rattled off 3 expressions in a row, like one after another.
And I try to use those things to motivate people and to be passionate, because I am, every day, and it's not easy. Not every day is sunshine and rainbows, but when you wake up and you try to let other people know that and try to motivate people as well. I used to coach when I was younger for a short period of time. I'm big into sports, and a group of people working together to achieve a goal can do anything. People are really powerful. So again, if you're enthusiastic and you're passionate about it and willing to learn, there's nothing we can't achieve together.
Do you find those qualities to be more prevalent in the legal market or in the illegal market?
Ooh.
That's a great question.
That's a great question.
It's almost like a would you rather.
Yeah.
Almost.
So I've seen both. The one thing about the kind of illicit black market being out west was, if this crop fails or you lose some plants, that's your well-being. Like, we had that's how we survived at the end of the year. We didn't make every 2-week paycheck necessarily. It was, get through this, and once we get to the end, we'll see what kind of product we have and go from there. So people are very passionate, but I was surprised how many people in California would say that there's plenty of people out west that didn't care about the plan. It was just a paycheck. It was whatever to them. And I think it's like, you see that anywhere. The 90-10, 80-20 rule of people are interested and really want to make a difference, and some people are in there to just make a paycheck and get out of there. And hey, absolutely, it takes every type to make the world go round. And if that's what we're here for, okay, I understand that. I can work with that.
Yeah, you can't have all chiefs in your tribe, man. You need some Indians in there.
Exactly. Don't tell me you really want to do something, then don't care and don't put the effort in, because then now we're stuck. So
yeah.
Well, it's interesting talking to somebody with a background in cultivation that really does have a strategy in mind, like Mike brought up with the one question he asked you, and you have that end result in mind, because we've worked with, or maybe I should say we've decided not to work with people that are like, well, this stuff's just going to sell because it's going to come out of the ground, and weed's just going to sell. It's going to sell itself. It's fire. Hang on. Is there a legitimate strategy in place? And are you listening? Are you seeing what consumers want? And not trying to tell dispensaries that this is the weed you'd like to have. And we know people like that, and we've parted ways with them or decided not to get in bed with them. So it's very
Get out of
refreshing.
bed.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%. And, our sales team takes care of a lot of that. So I don't, specifically into that. But yeah, we do work with, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this here.
It's good when you have to carefully phrase something.
Drum roll, please.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can you ask that question again so I can answer that properly for you, Nick?
Yeah. I was talking about that. It's refreshing to hear from a cultivator that has the end result in mind and doesn't just assume because I have something, I brought it out of the ground, it's going to sell.
So yeah, right now we've seen, pretty much all over the United States, a lot of the marketplaces are down. Larger companies are laid off, things like that. So that whole, it's great, they're going to buy it no matter what, is kind of out the door in a lot of markets. It depends on where you are, but it's definitely not it. And we do work, they have certain things that they look to, again, what are we growing for? Is it THC percentage? Is it, terpenes? Is it extraction? Is it, grams per square foot? Is it, how much does it cost us per gram to grow, per gram? So all those things do play into effect, but it is a group effort between the cultivation, management, sales team, dispensaries, all the way down to make that work and see what works best. it breaks my heart. Unfortunately, we're in a time, and I don't know if we'll ever get out of this, of the THC percentage rules all.
It's awful.
You know,
Yeah.
it's something they can, I understand it's something they see a number, they can quantify it, great. And so they think, but it's so, so difficult to get people to look beyond those numbers.
Can you tell me, as though I don't know anything, why we shouldn't just base our decisions on a THC number, particularly if my goal is just to recreationally use?
100%. So there's all types of, you'll hear the phrases like the entourage method, things like that, the terpenes, the flavonoids, the cannabinoids. There is a lot more than THC. There's THCV, CBG, CBC, and they all, again, do different things, and will work together in a symbiotic effect to get you to where you want to go. And I think we've all had situations where you talk to a user, usually a novice user, where they say, "Oh man, this at 18% got me way more beyond to where I ever was at this 30% product." And because the terpenes, the other products in there, worked with your body and your metabolism and your endocannabinoid system that way, and that's why it affected you better. I wish there was a magic wand that would tell me what works with certain people and that. And unfortunately, that's why we get to, the descheduling of marijuana is huge. And to go out, activists to vote, so we can get more medical research on this to figure out these answers, and hopefully get more funding and get more answers, because we're all looking for the best way to grow and the best products and the best way to do this for the patients in mind. At least most of us are.
Oh, sure. So I was going to pepper you with one right there. And do you think dispensaries are doing enough to dispel that myth when people come in? I mean, I know they want to make the sale, but that high THC percentage might not be for the patient that's walking through your doors.
Absolutely. And anxiety, and that's a big one that a lot of people, hey, I tried this one time, and I was through my head. It wasn't great for me. I was freaking out under the covers all night. And so that type of information, so, okay, well, maybe we want to avoid sativas and limonene or certain terpenes that will give those paranoid effects. And I like to think they are. I know when I was in the dispensary, our team did a really good job of sitting down. So our dispensary, you would walk in, you would get checked in, you'd sit in one waiting room, the bud tender would come grab you, it'd be a one-on-one. I'd sit you down at a table. What are we looking for today? Full menu out in front of you. If you knew what did you wanted to get in and out of there as quick as you could, great. We can do that. If you have questions, let's sit here and talk and figure out what you're trying to do. Now that I've been in there post-COVID, things have changed, online ordering. It's a lot more of a expedited process, which again, for somebody like me who knows what I'm looking for, knows what to do, a lot of times now we can find the test results on the websites. Not all of them, but some of them. That's great for me. But what about somebody who, as you guys talked about, a first-time patient, somebody that's novice, somebody that's new? I know they still have those opportunities, and the bud tenders will ask questions, but how well of a job are they doing post-COVID? That's one I don't know.
Yeah, from our experience, not the best. And I'm not saying Pennsylvania because I don't have a medical card, so I don't shop in Pennsylvania. But I certainly know in the states that we've been in, what you see, what they advertise seems to be for the low-hanging fruit, the high THC percentages, some popular strain names, and
what's on
bada
sale,
bing, bada boom.
stuff that's inventory that's been there for a while, they're trying to get rid of.
Yep.
Yeah, Francesca, I think one of the things that really jumped at me in a lot of states that we've seen post-COVID is there's not enough help in terms of just sheer number of bodies in the store to help the consumers. They're short-staffed. So then that ends up being where the buying relationship, selling relationship is transactional, because they're not there to try to spend 15 minutes talking to somebody, because the line is getting longer and longer and longer. So I think that's the other unfortunate part of it, is the patient care, so to speak, is deteriorating because there's just not enough people out there working.
Yeah.
Mike,
I think you're right.
That's a great point. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. And because again, I just see things in Pennsylvania for the most part. I think, again, back to that 80-20 rule where 80% of bud tenders are great and we'll take the time, but there's times where there's nothing I love talking about more than marijuana, and they okay, here's your product, get in and out of there. And it's
Rush.
okay, that's great.
It's
Yeah.
a rush job. Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And it's a shame. 100%. I've been in those busy times where it is busy and you want to get people in and out of there, and I can respect that. But yeah, the market's different. And I know in Pennsylvania, we can't see the product. So, and it's the same. Let me back up and say that's similar in Colorado and California. I've dealt with great bud tenders that want to sit there and take your time and get your opinion with you, and some that, hey, this is what I like. This is what you should have. That's it.
Mhm.
No rhyme or reason. But yeah, so it's everywhere.
I got one. I would like to ask all three of you real quick. Do you what role do you think national brands have to play in that, where people are just like, give me the brand, like I want that brand. I've heard of that brand. I want that brand. Versus, what might be the best product for you? Do you think national brands and the weight they carry have any contribute to that at all?
Who starts?
I think our guest starts,
That's
because
what
he
I
would
think.
know if it's working
Yeah.
in all sides of it.
Absolute. I mean, so I think a big thing that they need to do that our companies have done when I was a dispensary, I would see a lot of different companies send sales reps in and people to talk about your garden and give you the background behind it. In California, they would say, okay, we want the free samples to try and taste and stuff like that. Pennsylvania's a little stricter. We can't do things like that over here. And we can't actually show the product. So when you go in there, you literally have a menu to look at. Sometimes they might have a little picture on there, but is it accurate? Who knows? But I know when I'm doing pheno hunts and we're going over what we were looking for in new plants and what we want to put on the market, we talk about bag appeal, but realistically, does it matter? Because they don't see it until they take it home. And I thought it would be great. It's definitely easier for national brands because they have more tools and more availability to post things online. I thought it'd be great to put QR codes on like your product, and it could take you to snap to a website, a background on the product, the grow, whatever, however you want to set it up. But I thought that would be something really cool to help educate people. We used to put pamphlets out and things like that to go over stuff. But again, who's going to it comes down to who's going to pass that information along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good point. And I do think the national brands have that advantage of name recognition. So we were just talking about the New Mexico market, where you also can't, open and smell. So can't tell if there's a nose on it. You can't see if it looks good. You don't know if it's old, if it's whatever. You're really at the mercy of whoever is helping you at the counter. And if you are a novice user, or even just not a careful necessarily user, then you're just going to trust that they're giving you something good. And if you have a bad experience, basically your bud tender can make or break some repeat business for you real easy.
100%.
Yeah, I think the trust factor is what drives that one, Francesca. And also the national brands, they have the deep pockets and the resources to market and to reach consumers in a way that a small independent farm could never do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'll tell you one other thing, if I can speak on the Department of Health, like advertising, things like that. We have to go in Pennsylvania. A lot of stuff has to be approved by them before we can do anything. So how educated, how willing they are to let us do certain things is very, very tough. It's very tough. We did a local toy drive, coat drive, things like that. And the way we have to go about doing that process to get it to the people, we have to, run through a little bit more hoops than most people.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
They don't
Makes sense.
hand you a cup and tell you to go to the bathroom, do they?
Yeah,
That's just classless. That's just classless. Damn it. Us cannabis people have feelings too.
I don't need to take a test to tell you I'm on drugs.
Yeah.
Michael, I know we're rounding out our time with you today. And I feel like I speak for the entire Infused team. And I think we could do like 3 hours just talking business and talking cultivation with you. I know that we usually like to end up our episodes with a little levity. And I know Francesca's got something she's going to ask you, and something she always does. I had one for you here. And because we're here with again, Wilmington's best bartender. Damn it, I miss you. I wanted to ask this for our audience, for our team. Can you tell me, can you educate us? Put that old bartender hat back on for a minute. What is the most obnoxious move someone can pull to get the bartender's attention?
I love it.
If you ask John Banks, touching somebody across the bar is a big no-no. I've seen him flip out on many people on a late night for trying to get his attention.
What about Mike Magee? What is the one that gets you?
I'm
He
pretty
doesn't
laid
get
back.
bothered.
Yeah, I'm pretty low key. If you reach across the bar and touch stuff, that's my 2-3 feet of space. Don't cross that barrier. I've had people reach across, try to pour their own beer.
Ooh.
Touching me, again, it's not. I don't like it, but it's not the end of the world. Yeah, that
not a
anything
snap
doing it
or a whistle.
Hey, buddy.
they can do that all the time. I used to say, when people would always say, whenever you get time, whenever you get time, whenever you get time. That gets annoying when they say it over and over again. But no, there's not too many. I would say touching, reaching across the bar, holding out the money was fine. A credit card out, that's great. So you're ready to go. I actually kind of preferred that. Yeah, just being kind of respectful.
Good. Well, those are two things I don't do. I've never reached across the bar.
Yeah, no, I
never
like
touched.
I like that we haven't done this. Hopefully, the staff up at Rudy's and Hell's Kitchen is like, "Yep, Infused has never done that to us."
Yeah.
Very, very good education stuff here for our crew. And I got to tell you, oh man, reaching across, grabbing the bartender—that's a foul.
brutal.
That's
Yeah,
a foul, man.
ejection.
Violation. It's not a violation. Francesca's segment that we do at the end of every Infused show. It's time for Would You
Sometimes
Rather.
this is a violation.
Yeah, I guess sometimes it is a violation. That means we need our producer extraordinaire back because he's going to play with us as he always does. Frank, how you doing there, brother?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Outstanding.
Doing good, Nick.
Hopefully you just enjoyed your
Sorry.
visit with our friend Mike.
I did, of course. Mike, what was that? You called me Nick?
Yeah. It was
It's
that
been-
pen I had earlier. Sorry.
We had two
Oh, God.
mics, only one Nick.
It's one of his resolutions. He's just going to call us by either name. So, I'll be Frank for a while. Francesca.
Yes, I want to know, would you rather, since almost everyone's done at least both of these, have to move your home every year, or have to change careers / jobs every year?
And you're directing it to who first?
Nick,
Switch jobs or switch homes every year?
switch jobs or switch homes?
For some reason, I think switching homes would be easier than that. Yeah.
Really? Do you
Just-
remember when we moved out of our apartment?
Yeah.
And how we haven't moved for like 13 years since?
So
I
apparently
like-
Francesca doesn't like your answer.
But I like working here.
I
Shut
know.
up.
I know. All right. You want to move every year. All right. Mike Magee.
I think I would have to go changing jobs every year over changing a home every year. Yeah.
After moving cross country, living in tents and all of that,
would
it's like,
be, I mean, if I was only living in a tent, I guess it'd be easier. But
sure, depends on the home you're moving.
Yeah.
yeah, with the animals, everything I've accumulated over the years, I think I'd go with switching careers.
That's good. Good. Frank?
This one's easy for me because I don't own that much stuff. So, and I'm moving in a couple weeks, February 1st, baby.
What? Wow, we didn't know this.
You'll have to get this story off air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No.
you would move houses?
I'd move houses, yes. And moving jobs, yeah, that would take way too long. We tried moving email software and that took like a month. So there's so many
You
extra
did.
things.
All right. Mike Patterson.
Yeah,
I am
there's a-
changing jobs, hands down. Changing
Really?
jobs.
How
Yeah,
come?
because like moving your home is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it
Like
is.
just a lot. But also like your home is your home base. Like that's where like at the end of my job, that's where I go to relax and unwind and all that stuff. So I feel like I'd rather have that intact and have the chaos just during the workday, 5 days a week or whatever it is, versus having a stable job and go home to chaos.
Mm,
Yeah, I
that's
like
a
that.
good one.
I like
That's
that
a good
answer.
one.
That was a damn good go around, Francesca. Thank you for that thoughtful
Wait,
question.
Francesca, what was your
Yeah.
answer?
Almost got away with it.
Thanks,
I
Mike.
would say I would change jobs every year because I would always be learning something new. And like the first year at a job, it's like being a freshman. So you can kind of play the like, I didn't know card. And you can also climb the ladder. You get to meet new people. You get to learn new things. You get to advance your skill set in a lot of different ways. And
Wow.
home moving is just, it's awful. I hate it. I hate
Yeah, it's pretty
moving.
bad. It is pretty bad.
So
Mhm.
Nick will move houses. I'll move jobs.
I did just remember one other story from Murder Mountain. If you guys have a few minutes and you'd like to hear.
Yeah.
Bring it.
Roll it.
So as I said, there's no cell phone service, powered by generator. One evening, the boss, it was my second year, went down to San Francisco to pick up somebody, do a few things. The other two people on the farm was my girlfriend and his girlfriend, and we sent them to a neighboring farm to do some trimming work, do a few projects, whatever. So I was the only one there for 2 days, I think was the plan. I'm in the barn. We just harvested everything, working, comes late in the afternoon, time for me to go back up to the house, make some dinner, eat. I turn on the power and I start getting all these messages on my phone. Hey, call me. Hey, call me, emergency, this and that. So I called the owner up. I'm like, hey, what's going on? He said, everything good? I was like, yeah, all's good. He said, I just got word people are robbing people this time of year. They're breaking down fences and it's harvest time. So just be aware. If you need any protection, there's a gun in the safe, in the combination, revolvers in there. Okay, great. So make something to eat. I walk outside. I'm smoking a joint, relaxing, and these headlights come near our gate. Start slowing down. I'm like, oh, that's weird. Start facing down. So the house is here, long, it's maybe 60-yard driveway, and the gate. Lights are pointing down the gate at the house. This is really weird. So I grab the gun and grab a flashlight, walk out, and lights are there and the high beams are on. So I can't see anything but lights. And of course, the flashlight dies, doesn't work. So all I have is my revolver, Jester, my dog's going crazy. And
no.
I'm like, yo, start yelling. Can I help you? Nothing, no response. Start yelling a little louder. Hey, and I'm walking up the driveway in the dark towards these people. And in my mind, I'm starting to think, okay, I'm about to get robbed. I've got to go and so the car starts moving forward. It got past the gate and I let off the warning shot and then started yelling expletives, everything. I've got the gun getting ready to shoot at this car. And I just hear, what the F are you doing? And it's my girlfriend and the other girl. They were like, I was like, what are you guys doing? They're like, they called us, said that, people are being robbed, go back, just everybody go to the house and hang out for the night. I was like, well, nobody told me. I was ready to shoot the car. I had to walk away and calm down and everything. And
oh my God.
Wow.
Probably Mike is so baked. What is he doing?
We're telling the story and they're laughing. They're like, oh, funny. And he grabs the gun. He's like, oh, you're serious? Like there's bullets missing. And I was like, yeah, it was. Yeah. I thought I was getting robbed at that point, but it was. And they thought I was yelling at the dog. All they could hear was me. And they said I looked crazy. Eyes were wide. Like it was.
Oh my!
I had to walk away and regain myself for a while.
I'll bet.
I couldn't hear anything. I did the classic. Would somebody answer that phone? So I put the gun off right by my ear, not thinking. Fun times.
Oh man! Fun times on Murder Mountain.
That was the closest we ever got to.
Wow.
That's good. That's a great story.
I can't thank you enough for this opportunity. It's been such an honor, Mike. It was great to officially meet you, Frank.
Likewise.
Francesca, Nick.
Dude,
always. I can't wait till next time.
Yes,
brother, I can't wait
to
hear in person. Stop by and see us. That would be great. Number of firsts on the show today. Francesca has trouble asking a question, then just fires off the best questions. And I think it's our first rattlesnake killer. Actually, I don't know about that. Nikki Lawley probably killed a rattlesnake in her hundreds. yeah, maybe AC Moon.
Definitely AC.
No, man, this has been an absolute pleasure. Mike Magee's been our guest. He's been our friend. We value your time. We're so grateful that you joined us today on Infused, brother. We're going to see you next time, okay?
Thank you so much, guys. I can't wait.
All right. Well, look, we love you and we miss you here in Delaware. We'll see you next time, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.